Welcome to my Women in Leisure project. This is Elizabeth, and I chose for my cross-gender project to learn and to try the leisure art of rock climbing. In the late 1700s, it began to become a more leisure activity. Due to the strength and endurance of rock climbing required, it was considered a man's sport. It is thought that women accompanied their husbands and fathers, however, on climbs, but no one was comfortable in writing of such things. However, in 1799, Miss Parmenter climbed the Alps, summiting Mount Blanc, and became the first record of a woman climber. The women continued to climb anonymously until the late 1800s. Heidi Haas, Women Climbing Historical Outline. As stated in the book, both gains and gaps, women were thought to be weaker due to their narrow shoulders and wider hips. The perception was believed to make running, throwing, striking, and climbing activities more difficult for her than the typical man. When women did start climbing, they still wore their full skirts and bonnets. I found it interesting that some of the first documented women to climb were older women in their 40s or older. This is something I have in common with those pioneers 100 years ago. In the 1920s, some women started wearing knickers and rubber-soled gym shoes to allow them more mobility and better grip. Safety equipment was minimal. For years, the only safety equipment was a rope tied to their waist, a pickaxe, spiked boots, or rubber-soled shoes. In the 1950s and 60s, what we consider modern climbing equipment began to emerge. The percentage of women climbing continued to remain extremely small until the 1970s and 80s. Finally, women were starting to be accepted into the climbing world. In 1978, the Swiss Alp Club accepted their first female member, and in 1979, a young woman by the name of Lynn Hill proved that she could climb with the best, which at that time were all men. Like many other female athletes in our class readings, Mass Communications by Fink, and The Cult of the Beautiful Body by Jorgen, Lynn Hill had gotten her name out in the mainstream media by making several extreme sports movies and posed for sexy French ads. Her skills as a climber were unsurpassed by both men and women, yet she needs to use her sexual appeal to get her name out there. As quoted from Performance Rock Climbing, 1993, though the female side of the sport is still underdeveloped at this point, our experiences have shown us that women can perform at equal standards to men in climbing. In researching the risk involved in rock climbing, I was surprised to come across this chart showing rock climbing less risky than hang gliding, scuba diving, surgery, and pregnancy. You have a 4 times greater chance of dying during pregnancy or childbirth than rock climbing. Now I know these 2007 statistics are worldwide, which include third world countries, but this still really surprised me. Today, women have their own rock climbing gear, websites, and groups. We're able to break past those constraints seen in our readings, Just Do It, to move past the barriers that this is a man's activity and to come to learn rock climbing in their own way. These sites put a girly touch on this activity to make it more appealing and less scary. Many gyms now have girls' nights, as seen in this last photo, so women don't have to compete against the men on the walls. Today, I am entering the leisure sport of rock climbing. In order to help me control my intense fear of heights, I have decided to learn how to rock climb in the controlled atmosphere of a rock gym. I've also signed myself up for classes so that I learn it properly. I've read Learning to Rock Climb in a Weekend by Kevin Walker and the Trailside series Guide to Rock Climbing by Don Meller to prepare for this day. First, we check to see if our harnesses are on right. Then we go to practice on the wall to work on knots. I did feel more comfortable taking this class with 2 other women. It helped me with my constraints. Now I'm really getting nervous. My instructor keeps talking about how important these knots are. Am I making them right? Yeah, still on track. This retraced figure 8 with a double fisherman for good measure is going to hold me if I fall and when I propel down. I appreciate that my instructor wanted me to repeat these knots about 10 times before we got on the rail wall. Okay, it's time to start climbing. Brittany was a great help here. She helped me pick out a nice easy route for my first climb. Each route is color-coded with cute names like Pokemon, Care Bears, and more. They're also graded to show difficulty. Whether indoors or outdoors, each route is graded so that you know how difficult it is before you begin. The routes I use today fall into the first 2 categories of 5.0 to 5.4, easy, and 5.5 to 5.8, general intermediate, needing rock shoes. We decide on the Tuxedo 5.4 for my first climb. Okay, deep breath. Let's do it. I'm going to start by belaying. Bede's going to show me how it's done. Not her first time, after all. Suddenly, I realize that I'm 110% responsible for the safety of my partner and my daughter. The weight of this rope is so much more than her actual weight. I thought this would be the easy part, but I found it more challenging than rock climbing. It's also a lot more physical than I thought it would be, moving the rope to keep the slack off. It's my turn to climb the wall. The first few steps are good. Over halfway up, my arms start to shake. Is it my muscles or my nerves getting the best of me? My palms are sweaty too. I should have bought some chalk. It's really getting hot up here. Is it just the room or me? A few more stones and I reach the top. Now it's time to trust my knots, my partner, and rappel off the wall. I come down to cheers from my younger daughter. She gives me a high five and says, "Good job, Mom. I'm proud of you." Wow, that's great. Let's do it again. It was harder the second time, but better the third. Thanks to my girls and their encouraging words, working through my fears, those voices in my head, I climbed the wall a total of 4 times that day. I had a great time rock climbing. Will I do it again? Yes, but I'll stick with the indoor gym rock climbing. It's more controlled. I figure statistically I have survived 2 pregnancies. My odds are better in rock climbing, and I'll increase them with the odds of indoor experience, which I have far to go before I master. Thank you for watching my project. I hope you learned a little about rock climbing today and try it for yourself. Thank you to my husband, who took most of the pictures, to my daughters Erin for cheering me on every step of the way, and to my daughter and climbing partner Brittany, who encouraged me to take on this project and helped me when I didn't think I could continue.